Okay, good afternoon, everyone. How are you? I'm just checking Facebook to double check that we are actually live and that you can see us and hear us. We're coming live using BeLive, so it would be absolutely fabulous if you wanted to comment and speak to Wendy, then please do. Oh, here we go. We are live. Perfect.
Yay.
And we can be heard, which is great.
Yay.
So if you want to ask questions, please go and double check on BeLive's link that I've put in the description so that you can engage and talk to Wendy too. So I did put a post out yesterday letting everybody know that I was going to ask Wendy to come and talk to us as one of the participants in the Conscious Creation Business Accelerator right now. And I think we're in week 9 this week. So yeah, we've been in for a while. We've still got a while to go, which is great. But I love the fact, and I was just saying this to Wendy as well, I love the fact that it's not just always me that gets to give their perspective on what it's like to be in a coaching container with me, with others, in the way that I facilitate and the way that I run the program. And it's always lovely to hear from somebody else and get to ask your questions and see what real life is like behind, you know, the social media facade of what posts and things are written. So
you mean social media is not real, Alison?
Not completely real all the time. And sometimes it is. Sometimes it's just that amazing. But we're going to dissect it, and we're going to get into Wendy's brain and her perspective of what it's been like. But firstly, I'd love to thank you, Wendy, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
No worries.
And I'd love for you to introduce yourself to everyone first, because I really want to help get your business out there and get everyone hearing and learning about the magic that you do, because you do some phenomenal work.
Oh, thank you. So my name is Wendy Burke. As Alison said, I am the owner and principal naturopath of the Healthy Hormone Naturopath. The brand was established last year. I worked for another clinic for a few years. So I've been out of college probably now practicing. I'll be coming up on my 4th year. And I worked for another clinic first up. And that clinic closed during COVID. So I was left with what do I do? And I did for a brief moment go, I'll just get a boring normal job, which is where I come from. And then I realized that, you know, it's completely soulless, which is the reason why I left it in the first place. And I was very lucky, you know, her husband also was very encouraging. So I thought I would give it a crack. Went out on my own, so established the Healthy Hormone Naturopath in the midst of isolation last year. So set up all the scheduling systems, and I felt like I did a lot on the fly. And, you know, in hindsight, and now obviously that we've gone through a few more details, there are quite a number of details that I left out. But that's what you do, right? When you're in isolation, you're not really sure what you're doing. You just start at the start, which is what I did. Established the business, establishing a scheduling system, tried to figure out where I wanted to practice. And then I guess it kind of grew from there. But I specialize in helping women with their hormonal health so that they can live full, happy lives and they don't waste hours of their life dreading either getting their periods or worrying about the fact that their periods are finishing and they're in menopause and they're going crazy. So that's kind of where my specialty is, with a little bit of a side interest in sports nutrition as well.
Yeah. There's a lot going on there, and I know that you're always learning, and it's amazing to hear how you've managed to establish as much as you already have in such a short space of time. So it's phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
phenomenal.
It hasn't even been going a full year. So look, the Healthy Hormone Naturopath has not celebrated its first year. And when I think of the start to where we are now, it really is mind-blowing. And it actually is quite good to sit back and reflect on the progress, because sometimes you're so busy looking forward that you don't see what you've done in the background. So it's nice to sit back and go, holy Toledo, there's a lot there.
There is a lot there. Yeah, you've done amazing. So when you were in isolation, you were setting all this stuff up and you were getting yourself sorted and you were figuring out what you were going to do. What crossed your mind about coaching or getting a coach or a mentor? What was it that you were thinking about back then that made you think, I've got more plans, I want to do more than where I'm at right now?
Yeah, I think some of there's there's so much when you're a sole trader and you're running your own business. There's the diversity of what you need to do and achieve. You need to be a good clinician to be able to help your clients, but you also need all the administrative tasks, some strategy about where I wanted to take the business. I didn't want to just bumble week from week in the hope that I would have clients. And, I wanted to have some sort of, how do I get my name on there? How does this all work? I wanted to have a bit of a, I don't know, strategy isn't the right word, but the right word just escapes me at the minute. But I wanted to have more structure and planning around how I wanted to build the business, because there was no doubt in my mind that I wanted to build it. I was just a bit lost with being a mouse in the wheel of going round and round and round. I was seeing clients and trying to be a good clinician, but I wasn't 100% sure about what to do. So to progress the business further. So I knew that I wanted a coach, and I'd felt that right from the start. But for me, it was also very much about finding someone who I felt understood where I came from, and that I could gel with as well. And I met you through a homeopath that I see, and I watched her journey and listened to her journey over a couple of years and the growth that she experienced. And I really admire her as a person and a clinician as well. And that's how I was lucky enough to meet you. And when we talked, I started to understand, I did the best that I could with what I had, but there's nothing quite like having somebody else to kind of go, have you looked at these figures? And as it turned out, I hadn't even looked at my profit and loss, because I just lived in the hope that things were going well. So, there's so much that we did at the start to really hone in on to know where the business is right at the start, and then where do I want it to be, and what does that then involve? What's my vision for the future? And a lot of those, like, I'd had these little moments where things would flick in my head, and I was like too busy seeing a client and being lost in that. And then I've got to do administration, and then I've got to, there's just so many things, all the things that I felt like I was a bit of a mouse in a wheel. And I was just looking for someone to help me build a process that worked for me, a strategy that worked for me, that was for my business, with what I thought my talents were, in a direction that I felt comfortable going in. Does that make sense? It's a bit of a long-winded answer.
It's a wonderful answer. And I think this is how everyone kind of does feel, because the next thing, I guess, that this makes me think is that you find that person, you do your research, you've been referred to them, you see yourself in, being able to be guided, facilitated, you feel like this is going to be the answer to all the problems. And then you kind of, I know this is how I feel when I'm about to invest in somebody new. It's kind of like, all of that comes to a head. How did you get through that? Because this is the first time you've done that for your business. So
yes,
that was a big step. And I appreciate it is for anyone at any time, but what was that step like for you?
I actually employed what I say to a lot of my clients. When they are stuck in a roundabout and they're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and they're getting the same result. And I have a very simple way of looking at it. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Yeah. And I knew that I was sitting in a wheel going round and round and round, and the wheel wasn't terribly uncomfortable, but it wasn't moving in the direction that I wanted it to be. And I couldn't see the business going what I had in my mind that it could go in, and the vision that I had for me in the future. So, it's that moment where I go, well, nothing changes if nothing changes. Absolutely, it was an investment to invest in coaching and to you, but I also knew that something had to change, and I think this was, for me, this was like the kickstart is a word that's used far too frequently. But for me, it was the change of direction, the zig, the zag, whatever you want to, whatever saying you want to use. But I needed to get off the rat wheel, the mouse wheel going around, and stop and look around and choose the path I wanted to take, rather than just feel like I was doing the same thing over and over again. So it absolutely is an investment. But, I say to people all the time, because people invest their money in me when they're trying to change their health. And I felt this was exactly the same situation, but I was the client. If I wanted things to change, the health of my business was to change, then I needed to invest some time, energy, and money in order for that to change. So that was my philosophy on that.
Yeah. So what What were some of those big things when you got off the roundabout and you got some new direction and clarity? What were some of those things that you wanted?
So I had harbored a very quiet ambition that I would like to do some public speaking. And that was something that you actually picked up on very quickly. One of the things we've done very early is to change my web page so that people know that that's something that I offer, because, you know, as you rightly pointed out, how people know that you would like to speak if you don't tell them you would like to speak? So, you know, a lot of the things that we've done since then have been with that goal in mind. So we're looking at workshops, trying to get some exposure wherever I can to do that. But we're also looked at streamlining the business in terms of, you know, I hadn't looked at my figures. I'd lived in the hope that, you know, that I could put my head in the sand and that would be okay. Turns out that's not actually a good thing. So one of the first things that changed was that we looked at my figures. Where does the money go? How much am I charging? What's my time like? And we've made some modifications to my one-on-one process as well. So I suppose really I should characterize this better. There are two things. We slightly modified the model, my one-on-one model, to make it both work better and have a pricing structure that truly reflected what my work and worth is, and tried to streamline some of the administration associated with that. Also with the longer term goal of getting myself out there. So changed slightly the appointment times, the way that I worked, changed the, I don't back-to-back appointments so that I can try and get some of the admin done in between clients as well. I'm really happy with the amount that I charge. I feel it's still fair, but it reflects my worth as a practitioner. We've also streamlined my place of work because I did have two clinic locations when we first started working together. And, you know, that was one of the first things that you questioned, really, is that the most, what's the right word, efficient way of doing business. So since we started, I now only practice in one clinic location. And the really interesting thing is that that's worked really well. So I can now say that I 2 weeks in a row I'm fully booked on my one-on-one days, and that was absolutely not the case 9 weeks ago. So I feel like just the focus, putting the time and energy and focusing on the small things that I had just been allowing to happen because that's what they always were. You know, it's the extra set of eyes on your business. When people ask you, so why do you do that? And you go, I actually don't know why I do that, because I always did that because that's the way it was done where I used to work. And so I just adopted that model because I knew that model. So I think having a coach and someone, this is another long-winded answer really, isn't it? I just realized having someone, another set of eyes, helps you question the motivation behind why you do things, right? So why did you do 45 minutes appointments? Because that's what I did. Do you need to do 45-minute appointments? Probably no, actually. I could probably do them as 40 minutes appointment. That actually would work. And what if you had 20 minutes in between? Would that satisfy admin? Actually, I never thought of doing that. Sure, let's do that. So having someone else that questions the why, and if there's a very good reason why, well, that's all cool. But often, and certainly this is the case for me, there wasn't really much science behind the why. It was just, I don't know, because that's what I did. Why are you at two places? Well, originally I thought that was going to be a good idea. Is it turning to be a good idea? No, not really. Do you really need to be at two places then? Probably not. Moved to one place, absolutely changed the booking, and you know the place that I'm at is a beautiful space. I feel really comfortable there. I really think the way that my attitude is there reflects the fact that people are coming in to see me. I've got a workshop booked now. I just talked about that. I'd like to do a workshop. Didn't do anything about it though. So somebody else going, so have you done that?
Yeah.
Have you booked it? Have you updated your website? Have you, where are you at? I think that is what helps me, that accountability, the extra set of eyes, the gentle questioning. Why are you doing that? Is there a good reason that you're doing it that way?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. Well, I love it. I've been there. I've seen it. It's been amazing. And to me, I think that's one of the biggest things that, yes, we could take your business in lots of different directions and add in all the speaking and do all of the workshops and all those kind of things. But it was that reliability of always having clients 2 weeks out that just gave you comfort and consistency. And I'm glad you said it, because I know that that is a big thing for any practitioner in their field, to know that they've got that buffer and that comfort zone. But at the same time, it's acknowledging that that has now become your reality, and that you, like, it's almost just like an expectation. And I love that, because that's now something to build on from there, within such a short period of time, which is amazing, absolutely amazing.
There is so much. I'm actually really glad that you asked me to do this, because I hadn't sat back and really reflected on the 9 weeks. But there is a lot that has changed in my business in just 9 weeks. Yeah, you know, it and for the better. Like, the business is becoming where I always thought it could be, and I think that as a practitioner, that's allowing me to develop better as well. Because I mean, the more clients you see, the better practitioner you also become, right?
Yeah.
Own your skills, and I think that's going to only improve my speaking gigs as well, because, you know, that's often based on the clients that you see in front of you as well. So yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool.
It's very cool. Look at you. So I'd love to get your insight, actually, about what were you expecting to come into when you said, yes, let's do the accelerator, versus what have you actually experienced being in a group coaching program, this particular one?
So I guess I wasn't 100% sure what was involved. I sort of thought, so I thought that there'd probably be some kind of process or formula that you would kind of deliver, and we'd have to do certain things every week, which is both true and not true. So whilst there is a formula and certain expectations every week, that's what I really love, and I didn't know that how it was going to go, is that it was very much based on the initial phone call that you had, the first long phone call, where we actually went through, you know, what are your visions for the business, what are the visions for yourself. You know, we do have a structure, but it's based exactly on the things that I see as where I want the business to be. So that's what I didn't realize that was how it was going to work. And I suppose because I thought, you know, you hear there's so much about coaches and stuff, and I just thought, you know, you would kind of hand us a formula and this is how the formula would go. But I was pleasantly surprised, and also, I must admit, mildly terrified, because then I had to tell you the real truth about myself.
Yep.
And I couldn't hide, which really, when you're investing in a program, is good, but of course it makes us very vulnerable, and vulnerability is tough as a human being. But that vulnerability and being really honest with you at the start meant that I'm actually getting what I need out of this, versus here is a formula. Probably one of the things that I feel I was underprepared in terms of, I think I tried to do too much at the start. So as you know, I tried to do uni at the start as well, and that didn't work out very well. And I do think that I really should have recognised, and I do a bit better now, that there is also, with this focus on the business, comes work to do in the business. You know, so there's the time that we spend on the call, and then there's the action that comes from those calls, and what do you want to achieve this week? Well, in order to achieve something, you actually have to do something. Like it's beautiful for us to envisage all of the amazing things for the business that we want to, but you do actually have to meet the universe halfway and do the steps so that the universe can help you. I actually remember a joke about someone used to say, you know, they used to pray to God if they would win lotto, and God said one day, well, you know, meet me halfway, buy a ticket. So I feel like that's what I didn't probably prepare myself as well for that, for the amount of work that needs to happen. And I'm not talking hours and hours, but I think it's you have to put in work. Like, if you want to get something out of it, you have to meet the universe halfway.
Yeah, I really love that you've said that. And I think that is something that is so underappreciated, it's not me setting you work and saying you have to go and do this stuff. It's me saying, where do you want your business to go long term? And then helping you connect the dots from this big vision of speaking on multiple stages, having online things, doing, having 2 weeks booked out, and then saying, well, if that's the case, what are the ways that we can get there? In which case, if you pack it down, you can actually do, you've achieved a lot in 9 weeks. 9 weeks is phenomenal to get where you've got to, but you have put in the work, the necessary work to enable you to do that, updating your website, changing locations, increasing days, moving your schedule, moving the structure around in your business. Like, they're phenomenal things that, go hand in hand with that process. And, 12 weeks is, I always say it's a sprint. 12 weeks is a sprint to really go hard out on what it is that you want to achieve, to make substantial changes that then you can go, wow, okay, I can sit back and I can get into my flow, my routine, because now I've done that work, that deeper work. So yeah, that's an amazing thing to share.
I don't think I realized that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, not at all. I think, I don't think people do realize how much work does go into making those changes. Yeah.
It's really worth it though. Like, I can see, before I would say, I had this sort of vision over here, and I didn't really know how to get there. And now, I feel like I've still got the vision over there, and I'm not there yet. I have a pretty big vision, but I can see the steps now. Like, it's not just okay, at some time in my future or one day or whatever. Now I can go, okay, well, I understand step here, step here, step here, step here. And then the only limiting factor then becomes myself.
Yeah. That's awesome. So cool. So what do you think everyone, apart from the time factor, what do you think everyone, how do you think everyone should prepare? Or I say everyone, what would you like to say to people for them to take on board what it takes for them to think, yes, I'm ready for a coach. Yes, I'm ready for a coaching program. What do you think you could advise they should consider?
So I think having an idea of what you actually want, it doesn't have to be crystal clear, but having some vision of how you see how big you want your business, whether that's really, really, really big or medium big, or, however you want it. But I think there does definitely need to be some sort of idea about where you want to take your business. I think a little bit of passion. If you've got a little bit of passion going on, then the work that you do is not actually work, if that makes sense. Some of it still feels like work, but, passion, I think passion's kind of important, because that's what motivates the change as well, and the true belief in your business that you're working towards. And what I didn't do, maybe have a quick look at your financials.
I do that in pretty much every session the first time, and I get pretty much the same response. But
because you'll say, but I guess it is, do you actually want to change, right? So that's the first question is, if you're happy the way that you are and you want to change at all, then don't get a business coach, because you probably don't need one. But if you have a burning desire to change, or have the business change, or move in a direction that you're not really sure about how to move it in, then I think a coach can be really valuable. But the thing that I now recognize that I didn't know before, so thank God I got you and not some crazy internet person, was that the plan and the structure built on your own desire for the business versus somebody else's, here is a 12 steps that is a cookie cutter approach to every business. Because my vision is different to my colleagues that are on the accelerator with me. We've got 2 other people on our group, and my vision is different to their vision. So I feel like, it has to be a personal kind of thing to be able to make it work properly.
Yeah, I really appreciate that as well, because that's how I always felt about going into coaching. I wanted somebody to look at what I was doing, who I was, and integrate who I am and my values and what I believe in my business, and actually use my passion to work with those pathways to get to what I wanted, as opposed to these are the stages and steps you need to meet. And I think, for those people that are going through the 7-day business building challenge at the moment, I know that they're getting a little taste of what that's like, because it's not a case of this is how you create this. It's what does this look like to you? How is this, bringing up these questions, these ideas, and they're having to formulate those responses. And it's from those responses that are coming from them that are going to be different to everybody else. And I think that's what makes the uniqueness, especially in the businesses that we have that are, holistic. They're looking out for all people with our gifts in our way. So it's celebrating that fact. So thank you for that. How can people find out more about you, Wendy? How can they find out more about what you do? How can they connect with you? How can they follow you?
So I am on Insta and I'm on Facey under the Healthy Hormone Naturopath. I haven't posted as regularly as I should. That's on my list of things to do. Also, I have a website, the Healthy Hormone Naturopath. One-on-one, I consult at North Lakes, but I also have online consults. I've got a couple of overseas clients and a couple of clients in other states as well. So I'm happy to do that. Very soon, going to do some online workshops. So definitely have a look at the socials and keep updated with that. But you can contact me any of those ways. And Soul Spectrum is where I practice out of in North Lakes. So there's a bunch of us there as well. So any of those socials, website, I'm easy to find.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Wendy. And if anyone has any questions and you're watching back on the replay, please do feel free to just put them in the comments. I know I'll ask Wendy to actually go and put all of her business details and everything into the comments of the video afterwards, so that it's an easy click through so that you can follow her and connect. And if anyone would like to know anything more about the accelerator, please let me know. I'll put a link to it in the comments as well. And thank you so much, Wendy. I'm going to let you go and have some fun on your holiday.
You're welcome, Alison.
You're a sweetheart. Thank you so much. All right.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.